Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Sick Podcast, Talking Titans. I'm joined with my man Vin. Jarrett is taking the week off. He's somewhere on this spinning rock we call Earth, but he'll be back soon. Let's not waste any time. Sammy, you know the drill. Start us up.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Talking Titans.
Levis towards the end zone. Got a man. Touchdown! Wow. And it's the fourth TD pass of the day in the debut of Will Levis.
The sickest Tennessee Titans podcast. Sick! It's going to be sick.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Sick Podcast, Talking Titans. I'm joined by Mr. Vincent Lombard. Vinny, how you doing today, sir? Doing good?
Can't complain, man. How are you? How was the wedding?
Which wedding?
I thought you were at. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
his brother got married last week. I'm all.
It's all good. I was at the dealership. Very different from a wedding.
That's right. The car dealership.
The opposite of that would be being at a car dealership for 5 hours. But it was a great experience for me financing a car for the first time. So I'm happy to do that. But yeah, no, it's good to be back here. Obviously, we had a very eventful weekend. We're not going to get into any of those specifics of that. We're going to stick to what makes us the most happy, which is Titans football. But nevertheless, since I was last on the show, actually, I don't think we've had a show since the Jamal Adams signing, right, Ben? Is that true?
No. So Jared and I did the show last week, and the next day they signed Jamal Adams. So I don't know if it was Rand and company listening to the pod, taking our word to heart and they went and signed a safety, but that's what they did. And, we had alluded to it on the show before that really was the biggest position in need, just because not only for the fact we don't have a starting free safety or strong safety, what have you, but we also need a depth as well. So I like the signing. Jamal Adams' best years with the New York Jets was under Denard Wilson. I believe he was their defensive backs coach. And it's a cheap $1.1 million deal for 1 year. So if it doesn't work out, it's no harm, no foul. So how do you feel about the signing, though?
I mean, listen, I've always loved his energy. He's always been a high-energy guy right out of college. Obviously, he was a very highly sought-after player coming out of college.
I wanted him over Corey Davis, to be honest, that year.
Yeah. I mean, I think he went what? He went probably between 5 and 10, right, in the draft, I believe.
I think he went a few picks. I think we had the 5th pick and picked Corey Davis, and then they had the 6th pick, and I think they took him.
Yeah, so obviously, his career hasn't been as advertised from his days coming out of, which was LSU, I believe, right? He came out of.
Yeah.
But still, he's had some top elite years, and he's not even 29 yet. So I made a tweet earlier, which, a lot of people seem to agree with, where I could totally see this being a situation just like Delaney Walker, where a guy that was a fringe kind of star, even though Jamal Adams had a lot more success prior to coming to Tennessee than Delaney Walker did, but just a guy that we signed on a whim and we thought might be able to help with, depth and development. And then it turns out he spends like 4 or 5 years with us and he becomes a fan favorite and, makes another Pro Bowl. I could totally see this being a similar situation as to that. I'd love to. I mean, he is as good of a locker room guy as you can get. At least that's from what I've heard. We know he's very high energy, and you can't have too many of those guys in the locker room. The more leaders, the better. So in that aspect, it's great too. As far as what I expect from him, quality on the field, I mean, it's no secret he's not a very good coverage safety. He's definitely more of a tackler. That's what you're paying him to do, even though you're not paying him much. You're paying him to make some tackles.
Yeah.
He's not a guy you're going to throw in that backfield and hope to disrupt anything as far as an aerial attack. So in that aspect, we're not really addressing many needs as far as the middle of the field and pass protection. But as far as a guy who's going to hit the fucking helmet off a guy and who's going to not take any plays off, in my humble opinion, at least right now, it's a great signing. But we still need some help as far as that, the back end of that secondary that can swat a pass from here from time to time and disrupt that passing game. And I don't know if that's going to be the guy for the answer to that.
I like the Delaney Walker comparison. He was a guy who was with San Francisco, who was mostly used as a gadget guy a little bit on offense, but primarily made his money his first few years in the league as a special teamer. He wanted an opportunity as a true number one tight end. That's what Tennessee provided for him. And like you said, Sal, he did become a fan favorite, was here for, like you said, I want to say at least 5 years. Could have been.
I think it was 5.
Yeah. Could have been here a little longer, give or take a year or so. But I like the comparison. And I like the fact that he's playing for his NFL career, basically. He's on a 1-year, $1 million deal. I'm sure he's made a lot of money in his career. He was a top 10 pick. I think Seattle paid him a decent chunk of change. But, who doesn't want more money? And if he wants to make more money, he's going to have to stay on the field. And not only is he going to have to stay on the field, he's going to have to produce as well. So I think you're going to get the best version of himself. Like you said, Sal, he's not even 30 years old yet. He's 28, 29, something like that. He brings a little bit of veteran experience, not only for the defense, but in the locker room in general. It's a pretty young team, I would say, aside from a handful of players. But I like it for the sole fact it's low risk, high reward. If he stays on the field and, produces for us, he could be a guy that we re-sign next year. That being said, though, I did see a report out earlier this afternoon that they are still interested, which I would love, in Justin Simmons, although supposedly the discrepancy is he wants a little bit more money than what the Titans are willing to give him. They are also interested in Diggs. I'm unsure of his first name. Quandre.
Quandre,
yeah. Quandre Diggs. Either way, I'm happy with either one because right now you have Molden, who's going to be your free safety. He's going to try to – Hooker is going to be your free safety. Your ball hawk, play center field, be your Byard type safety. And then you have Jamal Adams, who's going to play closer to the line of scrimmage. He's almost, I hate to say it, more of a outside linebacker than he is a safety, in my opinion. Fair to say at this point in his career, but he's someone who, like you said, Sal, he's going to put his body on the line. That's how he made his bread and butter. That was his MO coming out of college. And I like that we have another hard-hitting player on our defense. It seemed as if we only really had Jeff Simmons as that impact hard hitter. Now we have another guy on the back end of our defense who can hit as well. Brings a bit of aggression. That secondary is nasty now. It really is. You have a Wouzier. You have Snead, who's an in-your-face kind of guy. You're going to have McCreary in the slot, Molden in the slot, Hooker, who's been here for a number of years. And now you have a hard-hitting, aggressive safety like Jamal Adams. So
yeah, and I think that's another reason. Also, I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's another reason why they were more inclined to take a guy like Jamal Adams. I think it's because they're really confident that most of the receivers they're going to face this year are going to have a lot of issues getting open.
Yeah,
and if that is what their belief is, which obviously on paper is something we should all believe as a fan base, then it would make more sense to grab yourself a safety that's a little bit bulkier, that's going to help stop the run if necessary, and is built like a brick shithouse and can use his body as a weapon. And that's definitely seems to be the reason they got him. And listen, a guy like Jamal Adams is a guy that you really get excited about hearing he's got a chip on his shoulder because he already kind of acts and plays like he does already. And then to add the little bit of motivation that hopefully he's going to get, I love to see him stick around and be a piece of ours, and he can end his career here in 3 or 4 years. You don't know. We know he has the talent level to impact this defense. We know he can make impactful plays because he is a fifth gear guy always, and that's what you need in order to make plays happen on defense. So, I foresee him being I think it's wishful thinking to see, that he's going to show up and start playing like, Ray Lewis as far as his impact on the defense, obviously different positions, but he's got that energy level that he did. I think it's wishful thinking to think he's going to show up and be like that. I could see him being a Wesley Woodyard type player for us. You know, their physiques are relatively similar. Pretty good up front, nothing to write home about in the back end of the defense, but definitely just for energy alone, just for leadership qualities alone, they got him for nothing. So you can't complain. $1 million for a guy that used to be an All-Pro and is less than 30 years old. You can't really get too upset about it. I don't foresee them really going after Simmons because if money is the issue, they could have just used that extra $1.2 million, and throw it into the mix to try to get him over getting Jamal Adams. I don't understand
fair point.
Why you would try to attack both guys if money is the concern, but we'll see. It would be awesome to also have him in there again in any position. Depth is never something you're upset about having. But we'll see how it works out. I think Rand might want to hold on to some cash. Because I wouldn't be surprised if they're incredibly active at the deadline, because this could be a team, like we've said over and over again, with a ceiling that could include a wild card situation. If they're going to be what we hope to be a 10 win, possibly plus win team, they might need to make a move here and there. They need to have some change in the back pocket to be able to accomplish those moves. So wouldn't be upset if they tried to spend $1 or $2 more. Wouldn't be upset if they hold the rest of their cash. But we're locked and loaded. We're ready for 2024, 100%. And the preseason is going to be here in the blink of an eye. So I couldn't be more excited.
Absolutely. And I can't stress enough how important I think it is that his best years were with Denard Wilson.
Yeah.
So that familiarity is something I think that came into our front office's mind when it was, when they were deciding which safety they wanted to sign. I'm just glad they made a move, to be honest, because it was not to say we don't have question marks elsewhere on the defense. We do, interior defensive line, linebackers. But that was a position where we literally had one safety on our roster that has been on this team. So I'm happy that he's here, and we'll see. Like I said, it's low risk, high reward, and those are the best kind of bets, in my opinion. And you're going to get the best version of himself, and we'll see how it plays out. Speaking of players that are available all of a sudden, I know
I know where you're going.
I know, and I know we signed a handful of receivers in the offseason, and I'm not saying we could just have a discussion. It doesn't have to be about the Titans. Brandon Aiyuk, where do you think he lands? You have to imagine that San Fran's not going to trade him within the NFC. You have to believe they're going to trade him out of conference. Pending what they get, you never know. But usually when you see a star player traded, it's to the conference that they don't play in currently at the moment. So, I'm not saying we're going to make a move for Aiyuk. I don't foresee that happening. We have we have 3 receivers that I feel confident with going into the regular season. That being said, what do you think his asking price will be for the 49ers? What do you think they'll ask for? And what do you think his contract will look like should he get moved? I remember I had said in the offseason when we talked about players that we could make a move for, I said that I think he's going to command at least $20 million a year.
Exactly where I was going to – yeah. So I was going to say $20 million, and I think – unfortunately, I think a team to look out for is going to be Indianapolis. That's going to be a team I would genuinely be looking out for as far as a team that has fair depth at receiver, but definitely would like some more. And this is a big year for them. They don't have time to wait. They need to find out if Richardson's a guy this year because they already wasted basically an entire year last year and they don't know yet. And adding a guy like Aiyuk would definitely help make that or answer that question. I don't think they're really going to give a damn about trading in the NFC because they're still the team to beat right now. So they're kind of the big brothers in the NFC right now. I don't think they really give a damn who they do business with in the conference because they're not going to look at them as any kind of a threat. I think the Giants would be a spot for him that they could be interested in because obviously they just got a rookie in Malik Neighbors down there. And obviously, even though they have some borderline fringe receivers that are like they need a veteran star receiver. Like every team does, no matter how good Neighbors is going to be. If the Giants really want to take another step, they should try to get a star receiver that's in their mid to late 20s to kind of be the leader of that room. And I think Aiyuk would be a perfect fit there. But again, maybe you're right. Maybe they don't want to trade inside. I don't see Tennessee doing anything.
No.
It's just too much money to invest in a guy that, although is still technically in his prime, is going to be approaching that peak sooner than later. And what is he, 26, 27 now?
Yeah, I think this is his 5th year, I want to say. So, yeah, 20 – should be at least 26, 27.
For me, it's still T. Higgins 2025. That's it. Because it just for the sole purpose that you have the added element of him being from the state. Okay, all these guys they're
and
all
Brian Callahan, the Callahan connection.
Of course. All these guys are excellent talents at the receiver position. Brandon Aiyuk, T. Higgins, all these caliber guys. CeeDee Lamb. Maybe he might be a tier above, but all these guys are impact guys. It's just a matter of what's going to be the better fit. And I'm still on the T. Higgins bandwagon because he's a head down and grind out kind of player. He's from the state, like you said, the connection there. But Brandon Aiyuk is a bona fide number one, in my opinion, as well.
Freak athlete. Yeah, freak athlete.
I wouldn't be upset, but it's just I don't foresee us investing more money. We've got a lot of money invested in veteran receivers. I don't foresee us investing more money. I think next year is going to be the first year where we try to add in some youth element, some high caliber youth at the receiver position that we have not done since that man from Ole Miss that we brought in. So, we want to get there eventually. All the superstar teams, with the exception of the Chiefs, up until recently,
they have Mahomes.
Yeah, they have the best in the business, but they all have the homebred superstar receivers. Now, we went out and got some damn near 30-year-old stars as well, some over 30-year-old stars, but we're going to eventually start homegrowing our receivers, and I think that would start next year. But I'm still Team Higgins over Aiyuk.
Let's not forget, he's just 29 on paper. He's like 25 in real life.
Yeah, well, I saw him doing some workouts outside.
His stop and start ability
very quick.
Is freakish, man. I think you're going to see a hell of a year out of him. Yeah. But to speak on Aiyuk, I don't see us making that move. I totally agree. I think T. Higgins is going to be a guy that we go after next year. Although, don't be surprised if Hopkins and or Tyler Boyd has a solid year with us.
Yeah, of course.
And we go to the playoffs. Not saying we re-sign both of them. I think it's a distinct possibility one of them is a Tennessee Titan going into next year. That being said, I'd still love a player like T. Higgins. But I'm going to name two teams that I think are viable options for Brandon Aiyuk. I think the Los Angeles Chargers are very thin at the receiver position. I think they drafted Joe Alt for a reason to protect their franchise quarterback. They have Quentin Johnson, who was pretty bad his rookie year. They signed DJ Shark. They drafted who's that kid out of Georgia, the white kid, Lad McConkey.
Very good.
Good player, but I think he is someone that could pay dividends for someone like Justin Herbert, who really is lacking a bona fide number one receiver. I think the Los Angeles Chargers are a team that could sign him. Mm-hmm. Another team I think could sign him. The Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
They lost Gabe Davis. They lost Stephon Diggs. All they really have is Keon Coleman. He is a rookie. I am not sure what their cap situation is like, but I think adding someone like Brandon Aiyuk to that offense would pay dividends for someone like Josh Allen, pay dividends for a rookie like Keon Coleman, who's going to get a lot of attention because right now he's kind of really the only bona fide, receiver they had. They had that kid in the slot who's real quick. I forget his name. He's little. It's on the tip of my tongue. But
who is this? What team?
The Buffalo Bills. They have Keon Coleman, and they have that kid that was getting a lot of play and the end of the year.
Shakir, right?
Shakir, yes.
Yes, Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, I think adding someone like Brandon Aiyuk would pay dividends for them. Another team, I think the Oakland Raiders or the Vegas Raiders, I'm sorry. Devontae Adams, there's rumors there if he wants out or not. If you watch Receiver, the special on Netflix, There have been moments where he doesn't seem very happy there.
How could he? They don't win.
Yeah, no, and outside of Devontae Adams, who do they really have? I know
they have Michael Mayer and what's his name, Bowers. So
they drafted Michael Mayer last year. They have Bowers, but Hunter Renfrow, he could be a cap casualty. He carries a big number, so I think they could be in play as well. But if I was going to lay a fun bet, if odds came out, I would see what the Los Angeles Chargers odds were and the Buffalo Bills odds. That being said, I don't think that the 49ers have to move him if they don't want to. I think he's technically still under contract with them. So you could play hardball if you're John Lynch and say, I don't give a shit if you want out or not. You're going to play here or you're not going to play at all this year. And usually the billionaires win over the millionaires when it comes to players that hold out.
Yeah.
That being said, we'll see. I hope they keep him in the NFC because I don't want to have to worry about the Buffalo Bills adding a player like Brandon Aiyuk. The AFC is hard as it is. So we'll see. But to end the show, I brought up a poll on Twitter today. Me and my buddy Blaze is a big fan of the show. He would love if his Chargers got Brandon Aiyuk. We always text each other random questions. If you got 100 at bats in the MLB, how many times do you think you can get a hit? I texted him today and said, if you got 5 rushing attempts in the NFL behind any offensive line, you could pick it. How many yards do you think you can get? So I posted that question on Twitter. If you got 5 rushing attempts in the NFL, how many yards are you getting? Over or under 7.5 yards? Right now I have 31 votes. 74% of them say they are not getting 8 yards. Jarrett, our friend and confidant, maybe sipping a little too much on vacation because Jared says 5 rushes, I'm getting at least 8 yards. So
I'm definitely getting 8 yards.
You think you're getting 8 yards?
Absolutely. People. One of my favorite things is watching people's reactions when they find out how fast I am.
I'm not doubting your speed at all.
Well, 5 rushes, I got to be able to beat someone on the outside. One of the 5 rushes, I'm gonna be able to beat someone on the outside. Yeah, I know these guys are more athletic than me. I know they are.
You also could get clipped. I'm gonna be able to. You can also get clipped in the backfield and lose 5 yards on that first carry. Now you need to get 13 yards.
No. Once we hit the 8, so if I get my 8th yard on the 3rd carry, it's done. I'm not gonna go another 2.
Yeah, I know. But if you lose 5,
but if on my first run I go backwards 3 yards, then
we got a problem.
I gotta make that up. Then
all right. Listen, I'm with you. I think I'm more of a power guy than I am speed at this point in my life. So I think I'm going to hit the hole and pray to God that I pick up, a few yards on each carry. And I think, why can't I get 10 yards with 5 carries? I'm weighing in well over a deuce right now, so I'm just gonna have to lower my helmet and lower my pads and hope for the best. But
I'll tell you what.
That just means that the Sick Podcast Talking Titans, we all think we're getting over 7.5 yards, all 3 of us.
I'll tell you what. Last year's Titan team, none of us are getting a foot behind that offensive line. But
it's gonna die.
Put me behind offensive line. Put me behind the Colts O-line from like 2 years ago. Yeah, I'll get me some.
You put me behind the Eagles offensive line. You spread everyone out with all that talent on that team, man. I think I could pick up 8 yards on the first carry. You only need to break 1.
I need about 10 inches of daylight. That's what I need.
What you mentioned your speed there, Sal. What are you running a 40 in?
I've been dying to test it. I haven't done one.
Sub 5.
Definitely sub 5. Definitely sub 5. Definitely sub 5. 100%. A zillion percent sub 5.
Sub 5.
I just don't know. I did it in gym class when I was 19 or 18, and it was with a hand watch, and it was like a 4.86.
Okay.
I'm 30, about to be 31, but I have not. I think I still have the calf strength I'm very fast. One time I raced a friend of mine on a baseball outfield. He was a All-American sprinter. Okay. And we probably did 100-yard dash, and he beat me by about a fucking ball sack hair.
Okay.
And that's all I needed to know. I pretty much regret a lot that I didn't try to do track when I was in high school.
Yeah.
At least for sprinting. I would have never made it as a long. I had no stamina whatsoever, but I can sprint.
You're more short bursts. You're not.
Oh yeah.
Okay. No stamina.
I'm the car when I'm Vin Diesel when he hits the NOS for that 10 seconds and then can't move after that. But
well, you're not Paul Walker, that's for sure.
Thank God. God rest his soul. But
IP. Well, interesting analogy with the ball sack hair. I'm very happy for you that you only lost to your All-American friend.
Well, I would have said another body part, but that wouldn't have been as
appropriate. Wouldn't have been as kosher. Yes, I agree. Well, that being said, anyone out there in the state of New Jersey, specifically North Jersey, that wants to challenge Sal to a race, he thinks
DMs are open.
Aren't they always? He thinks he's got you beat. But that being said, I think it's time for dinner. I know
it's time for me to go to work.
Yeah, you got some things to do. But it was nice to have you back. It'll be nicer when Jared's back next week and the three amigos are all back together. It's been a minute. We know the off season is a little slow. It's the dog days of summer, but we will have a lot to talk about and more clips to show when training camp starts. When do we show up to camp? Do you know? Is it next week?
I want to say it's January 27th or 8th or July. Yeah, so that would be like 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to it. It'll give us something more to talk about. We know it's a little slow this time of year, but nonetheless, we enjoy talking Titans football and just talking shit in general. So
yeah, absolutely. So make sure everyone likes, comments, subscribes. Make sure you got that notification bell on so you know when we're dropping new stuff or going live, so you don't miss any of our content. We appreciate the support and the constant growth that we're getting each and every single week from you guys. So. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to stuff, and make sure you share the show with all your Titan friends. And the more support from you guys, the better we're going to get, the more awesome guests, so on and so forth. So with all that being said, I hope everyone has a phenomenal rest of their week. We will catch you on the flip with Mr. Jarrett back, hopefully. And that's going to be it for us today. So as always, guys, tighten up. And Sammy, send us on out. God bless America.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Talking Titans on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.